Hello, I'm Davia Chambers and this is Let's Talk Tobago. Today we're at the Kendal Aquatic Facility, home to Tobago's second public swimming pool, which serves Kendal and the windward side of the island. This means residents from this part of Tobago no longer have to journey to the west to use the Corland facility. This state-of-the-art center has wheelchair access and facilities for the differently abled and sits on just over 2 acres of state land. It boasts of 2 saline-treated pools, an administrative building, a lounge, a daycare and a childcare room, a pavilion, a concession area and lots more. You'll find out about it all as the show goes on, but first, let's tell you what's happening in our stories this week. Join us or we'll go it alone. The forum gives the central government an ultimatum as Tobago continues its quest for greater internal self-government. Jennifer Hudson, Jill Scott and Cool and the Gang among the big names for this year's Tobago Jazz Festival, and artifacts in and around Scarborough to be preserved and restored. You're viewing Let's Talk Tobago. Thanks for joining us at the Kendal Aquatic Facility here in the east of the island. This building project began just about 18 months ago with the construction of an 8-lane, 25-meter pool which could potentially host short-course international events. It also has a smaller learning or warm-up 12-meter pool, and today you're going to be one of the few to see it all since this facility was officially opened on January 15th. Within this compound is a meeting room, offices, 4 storerooms to house various equipment and pool apparatus, a janitor's room and staff washrooms. But let's leave it there for now to tell you that the Forum of Political Leaders has restarted the series of public meetings and has given Prime Minister Kamla Persad-Bissessar until the end of January to get on board. Last year, the Prime Minister had committed to discuss with her cabinet the issue of greater internal self-government for Tobago. A promise was also made to meet with Tobago officials, but nothing has happened to date. The Chief Secretary believes the best approach would be to get the support from the central government, but barring this, the forum is prepared to access regional and international assistance. Caroline Wallace explains.
After the Secretariat for Tobago's Autonomy held their final consultation at the Signal Hill Secondary School last year, they returned along with the Forum of Political Leaders to update Tobagonians on what has occurred since then. But the Chief Secretary, Orville London, is reporting that after all this time, he's still awaiting a response from the Prime Minister.
The best way, of course, would be if we can sit down and talk to the central government and coming out of that meeting have common ground. But we cannot wait forever.
Mr. London reminded Tobagonians that the process is a Tobago one, telling them that's why it's important for Tobagonians to join the movement.
It is the people that have the votes. It is the people that have the power. It is the people that will decide the election. And therefore, we, the people of Tobago, must be in a situation where we send powerful signals to the central government, powerful signals to the decision makers in Tobago and in Trinidad, that there is a heavy price to pay if they do not respond to the demands of the people of Tobago.
The Forum of Political Parties says that self-government benefits no one else but the people of Tobago, and here's one example why.
The goods will leave North America or Canada and England, pass right in front of Scarborough and go down to Trinidad. And then a markup is put on it, and then put back on the boat with another markup. Then you pay the passage to come to Tobago, and then the businessman can get it. Self-government will mean, that's why we build an airport and a deepwater harbor, to open access of Tobago to the international world. We're not using it, you don't have the power yet. These business people in Tobago will be able, with self-government, to be able to import directly into Tobago.
The Secretariat for Tobago's Autonomy is continuing its research on achieving self-government and creating links with experts in the area so that Tobago can achieve its wish. I'm Caroline Wallace for Let's Talk Tobago.
And as we told you at the beginning of the program, today we're at the Kendal Aquatic Facility, a project that began back in 2012. That's just about 2 years after the YMCA swimming facility at Corland opened. Back then, the residents of East Tobago began clamoring for similar facilities. They felt they should not have to travel to the other side of the island to benefit from the programs offered at that center. Their requests did not go unheard, and today, East Tobago has a facility that can host regional and perhaps even international competitive swim meets. And while it's not an Olympic-sized pool, professionals and elite athletes can use it for training. Omadara Mills tells us about the other sporting and health benefits that this facility offers.
They are young, but they are developing their swimming skills at the Kendal Aquatic Facility's main 8-lane pool, which can facilitate local, regional and international tournaments. It's the newest public pool on the island, and it's not just for children, but a space for seniors and members of the public to do other activities such as this.
You will see some of us old people, with all the things you talk about, we going in the pool to do demonstration, to tell you that this pool is not for children and young people alone.
There's a learning pool that can serve as a teaching space for children and senior citizens. And the aquatic facility also provides therapeutic sessions. It has a pavilion that seats up to 100 people and has access for the differently abled. One of the project managers for the construction of the Tobago YMCA at Corland, Joanne Campbell-Cressy, says that facility can help develop Tobagonians' swimming abilities.
There are so many talented people in Tobago. Facilities like this will build that skill and talent, and Tobagonians can do anything with the right facilities and the right coaching. So we really congratulate the THA on doing this. It's a very important part of living in Tobago is being able to swim.
And the residents of Kendal and environs are grateful for the swimming facility, which has been constructed by the Tobago House of Assembly.
They are very thankful for this swimming pool because some of the schools had to carry their children quite long in the west because we hadn't facilities in the east. Most of us old people will be able to come and do some exercise.
A conference room, cafeteria and a childcare room are other features of this second public aquatic center in Tobago. I'm Omadara Mills for Let's Talk Tobago.
And as the Kendal Aquatic Facility opens new doors for East Tobago, a new flight connecting this island to Brazil is opening up the South American market. A major Brazilian airline will now be flying weekly to Tobago in half the time it currently takes. The flight will leave Sao Paulo on Saturdays and take just under 6 hours to get to its first stop, Barbados. There will be a 50-minute layover, followed by a 50-minute flight here. The service begins on January 31st, so let's find out why this island is so attractive to Brazilians.
Speyside is home to the largest brain coral in the Western Hemisphere, and Pigeon Point and Mount Irving beaches are especially attractive to divers and snorkelers. That's why Tobago's underwater charms may be appealing to this island's newest set of visitors, Brazilian divers, who expected to take advantage of a new flight by Brazil's largest airline, Gol. The flight was launched in Sao Paulo, Brazil, by a team from the Division of Tourism and Transportation, headed by their administrator, Oscar Brathwaite.
We hope that this event will start the ball rolling for everybody to know about Tobago. There's been a good acceptation from the invitations, and then we'll carry on and start marketing Tobago so that we can fill the flight.
We are more than happy to have and to see the success of the event, and I'm sure from now the Brazilian market will be more prepared to understand what Tobago is and what's all about it.
Open a market is not easy. Of course, you need a lot of promotion, a lot of marketing, a lot of communication. They understood that going only through Panama wasn't the easiest way. If you go through Panama, you fly almost 24 hours from starting point to arriving point. And now with this flight, in 7 hours and something, you are there.
We're very excited about the gold flight coming to Tobago and with Barbados. We expect to do very well. We've had a very good reception here in Brazil, and people seem very pleased that we're putting this flight.
But this new flight also presents other tourism opportunities for Tobago, as the Secretary in the division, Tracy Davidson Celestine, sees it. And these are her words. It opens up the possibilities for sport tourism. Tobago plays football. Brazil is well known for football. We can have collaboration with sporting entities in Brazil and also in Tobago, and allow for sport interchanges between both islands. Online bookings are now available, and there's an introductory return fare of just under $600. The flight, which stops in Barbados, will also accommodate direct flights between Barbados and Tobago. I'm Keyshawn Wilson for Let's Talk Tobago.
We're taking a break, but coming up, we'll tell you about a project known as Tobago Good Foods. The details are on the other side.
SIT Tobago, ready to provide your community with the highest degree of professional services in emergency response. Contact SIT Mariah at 660-0065 or SIT Speyside at 660-6096. SIT 24-hour services, emergencies, medical or other. SIT Pro, the new face of emergency management.
Welcome back to Let's Talk Tobago. Thanks for staying with us at the Kendal Aquatic Facility here in Kendal. This center was designed to be a place where not only recreational swimming takes place, but also swim meets amongst swimming clubs in both Trinidad and Tobago. As you might have heard earlier, therapeutic and rehabilitative sessions as well as aqua aerobics will be part of the services provided here. But we've also been told that the facility can be utilized for private events and gatherings. The pavilion behind me can seat up to 100, while the concession area can accommodate an additional 25 people. The concession area is within the same proximity of the pavilion with a commercial kitchen, so refreshments can be easily purchased on site. Now, it's no secret that crime is on the rise in our country, but Tobago has made it clear that criminals have no place here. They say they will ensure the capital of paradise remains safe and serene. These efforts will now be boosted by Crime Stoppers. The organization plans to make its way across the length and breadth of Tobago to get the word out.
Since the international organization established a presence in Trinidad and Tobago in 1999, they have been encouraging citizens to help to combat crime by providing tips through their hotline at 800-TIPS. Now, 15 years later, Crime Stoppers wants to ramp up its marketing efforts in Tobago.
I think we can do more in terms of awareness in Tobago, which is why it was important for us to meet with the Chief Secretary today and see how best we can partner to make sure that it's understood more.
He says the organization plans to mobilize communities and to share information on how they can combat crime by simply making a call.
So we intend to move more into the communities and deal a lot more with places like the churches and have the assistance of the THA in moving into the communities and established congregations and so on, established gatherings where we can share the work about Crime Stoppers, let people understand a bit more about what Crime Stoppers really do, because there is need for that.
But one call isn't the only way. Mr. Samuel says there's also a confidential online portal that Tobagonians can utilize.
And the fact that the tips that come into Crime Stoppers have always been anonymous and there is no fear of reprisal and so on, that should be associated with calling Crime Stoppers or providing tips for Crime Stoppers through the online portal.
As of August last year, Crime Stoppers received over 18,000 tips. I'm Caroline Wallace for Let's Talk Tobago.
You've probably not given much thought to the lumber industry unless you're in the business or looking for something that specifically relates to it. But as with any other sector, there are regulations which must be adhered to. And with a sawmill or furniture business, that's no different, since those operations can affect our green and serene environment.
Tobago's lush vegetation is one of the many sights tourists come to enjoy. Now, due to the island's size, its terrain and the variety of trees, lumber production is not done on a large scale. But for the sawmills and furniture businesses that are on the island, and there's about 19 of them, they have to be licensed. That's according to the Sawmills Act No. 24 of 1999, Chapter 66, Section 2. And here's one reason why.
As it is, there's a moratorium on sale of logs on state property. So most of these farmers, well, these sawmillers, they obtain material from private landowners. And so we have to verify that whatever they say they have, they do not come from state property.
Besides protecting the environment, especially properties owned by the state, which total about 15 in Tobago, the law requires that business owners have their books in order and in a safe place on the compound for forestry officers and rangers to check. The law also ensures that communities are protected from the noise caused by these businesses.
Once you go over a certain decibel, it is required by law that you maybe protect yourself and even those around you. So the law enforcement, the EMA police, they will try to control, at night especially, when it is more disturbance.
And there are fines for not adhering to the law. For those with furniture shops, it's $30,000 or 2 years imprisonment. And for sawmill operators?
For sawmills operating without a license, $100,000 or 5 years imprisonment.
Permits are due in January of each year and can be obtained from the Division of Agriculture, Marine Affairs, Marketing and the Environment. For more information, call 660-2079. I'm Umudara Mills for Let's Talk Tobago.
Tobago is known for its good food, be it our root crops, fresh vegetables or livestock. But how many of our local products make it to shelves in and outside of Tobago? Well, through a collaboration with the European Business Chamber of Trinidad and Tobago, this might soon happen. The organization wants to promote sustainable agriculture, and the 12 projects have been chosen under 5 subcategories: organic farming, beekeeping, dairy goat farming, fruit trees, and cocoa and coconut production. Why? The products are in high demand with tourists, and their increased sale could boost both the agriculture and tourism industries.
Pure Tobago honey, no additives, jams and marmalades made with 80% fruit, fresh juices. These are just some of the good foods Tobago businesses are producing with the help of Eurocham TT and the Tobago House of Assembly to ensure producers and processors use agricultural and processing practices that respect human health and the environment to promote sustainable agriculture. But the processors aren't only learning about best practices, they are also getting one-on-one training with experts in various areas to create higher quality products. Mitchison Figari is one of the producers of honey involved in the Tobago Good Foods project. He says so far he's benefited greatly.
It's one of the best things that happens to beekeepers in Tobago right now, because gone are the days when you just put on a colony with bees and then you take out honey and, those days are over. Right now you have to take a more scientific approach to the whole thing. And this is one of the things that Michelle, the Eurocham, has sent, the consultant, has been doing with us.
The hope is that the good foods will be utilized by major stakeholders in the business industry.
We want to see on a lot more shelf space in the groceries of Tobago, very high quality fruit products made in Tobago with very high levels of fruit content, low sugar level, for example. We want to see new products on the shelves of Tobago.
The Tobago Good Foods project will run for 3 years. The program is endorsed by the Tobago House of Assembly and is expected to have an impact on agriculture and tourism since the products produced are in high demand by tourists. I'm Keishon Wilson for Let's Talk Tobago.
It's time to take another break, but stay with us. In case you missed it, a former American Idol alum who also shared the big screen with Sarah Jessica Parker is coming to Tobago for this year's Jazz Festival. This is Let's Talk Tobago. Today you're joining us at the Kendal Aquatic Facility in East Tobago. Patrons of this aquatic centre are promised comfort and convenience with the provision of attractive male and female bathrooms, 5 outdoor showers and changing room facilities. The pools are saline treated, which makes the impact of the water less abrasive on the skin and more comfortable for the eyes. This aquatic centre has a backup water supply with 2 booster pumps that pump water from 6 tanks holding 1,000 gallons of water each. They also have a sewage treatment plant on site which treats liquid waste until it is purified and released into the sea. You get your mail via Gmail, Yahoo or one of the popular domains, right? Quick messages are also sent through Facebook, Twitter and Instagram. Why then would you need to spare a thought about how you receive your electricity and water in a world where almost everything is electronic? Drones and fiber optics might soon be a thing of the past. Admittedly, this wasn't always the case, but the way it was done before now makes for an interesting story. That's why Tobago is retaining certain items as part of its historical preservation and tourism development thrust. Omadara Mills explains.
It's more common now to send and receive mail like this, but before the electronic mail became popular, putting mail in post boxes located in your village or town was a lot more common. Now in Scarborough, there are 2 post boxes which people don't pay attention to, but that will change when they are refurbished under the Scarborough Enhancement Program, for they are an important part of Tobago's communications history.
Those post boxes were there because at the back seaward of the customs house, and it is now inside on the port, it's where it's wired, we had the old post office. And alongside the post office, there is a post office was in the back of the roadway. But the post boxes were erected in front so that people could drop the mail in and the post office come and collect it whenever they were ready to.
The first generator house, which was used to supply the port with electricity, is also in that area, and that too will be restored as a tourist attraction in the town. Mr. Nicholson explains the importance of refurbishing these relics.
The visitors who come to us, many of them are academics, so they come looking for these things. And locals will be made aware of what that area was used for, especially the significance of the building and why it is being preserved, because we all have come to a point when we take everything for granted. But we go abroad and we admire people for their historical preservation.
There are plans to ensure that Tobagonians are aware of these artifacts with proper restoration works and signage, since these historical spaces will form part of a bigger tourism and historical preservation plan for Scarborough.
The main reason for these works is to provide what we call a Scarborough Heritage Trail. So you could have the trail starting at the cannons on the port, you go across the Botanic Gardens, and then up the hill to the fort.
Restoration works will continue at Kingwell, at Cook River, and at Fort King George under the THA's Scarborough Enhancement Program. I'm Omadara Mills for Let's Talk Tobago.
And another integral part of our island's tourism product is the Tobago Jazz Experience. It's fast becoming a must-do on the regional music circuit, and it's easy to see why. This island has attracted some of the biggest names in show business. Grammy Award and Golden Globes winner John Legend has graced our festival stage, and India Ari, Dionne Warwick and Keisha Cole are just some of the other big acts that have come here. This year, the festival promises to build on this, bringing Dreamgirls star and another American singer and actress as the headline acts for the 2014 edition of the Tobago Jazz Experience.
I'm calling this phone up.
Grammy Award-winning recording artist Jennifer Hudson, the American actress and singer who's committed to lyrical honesty and musical integrity Jill Scott, and American jazz, R&B, soul, funk and disco group who sold over 70 million albums worldwide since 1964, Kool and the Gang are the big names coming to the 7th edition of the Tobago Jazz Experience 2015.
We invite you to come and experience all that we have to offer come April 18th to the 26th 2015. We have over the years incorporated the community into our approaches. And so we have communities such as Speyside, Castara, Signal Hill, and Scarborough which have been benefiting significantly.
But over the years, the majority of persons attending the festival have been locals. So this year, the Division of Tourism and Transportation wants to attract international tourists as well.
This year we're seeking to increase the ratio of the international visitors, and we will continue to use all our brand channels available to promote Tobago and the Tobago Jazz Experience in itself. So we've looked at the marketing mix and we're tweaking it a bit this year in accordance to new travel trends and new customer demands.
And there'll be another twist to this year's Tobago Jazz Experience on Sunday, April 19th.
So this year we'll put special efforts to promote also the new event at the Shore Park Complex.
The festival runs from April 18th to 26th, 2015 under the theme, Much More Than Music. I'm Keishon Wilson for Let's Talk Tobago.
And it's time to have your say, the segment of our program where we hear from you, our viewers. Now, as we told you earlier, the Forum of Political Leaders has resumed its public dialogue with Tobagonians as this island continues to fight for greater internal self-government. That quest didn't start this year or even last year. It began decades ago. This time, though, Tobago is not letting up. It wants greater control over its own affairs. But without the public's support, the best intentions will be fruitless. That's why the forum has been speaking to Tobagonians, trying to get us to understand what's at stake. So today we're asking, how do you think you will benefit from Tobago gaining greater autonomy? This is what you said.
Yes, it will benefit me a lot because I, as a foreign maker, will be able to export my foreign to Trinidad and do other things, and it will be more beneficial for us because here in Tobago we don't get nothing going on because we have to depend on Trinidad for everything. So if we have to do our own thing, we will get up and go forward.
Maybe I might get more sales into my production because I sell and I make clothing, children clothing, and I hope that it would come true that I would be able to get more sales.
As far as I'm concerned, it's a big story because for Tobago to benefit, there are a lot of factors behind it. You understand? That had to be explained before I think about supporting autonomy for Tobago.
We wouldn't have to really call on Trinidad for anything, but we would have our own resources here. So if we're doing our own stuff, it would be good for us.
I think it will benefit Tobago in the long run. Once the people and them empower themselves and the leaders, empower the people and them to get on board.
I don't think it would benefit Tobago. I think Tobago we ain't ready for that as yet. We need to put the proper structure in place. You know, we ain't ready for that as yet.
I think it will benefit us in a way that, you know, we will be in charge of our own affairs. We know what we want, and therefore we will be able to satisfy our own needs better than anyone else.
And that's how we bring this week's edition of Let's Talk Tobago to a close. Remember, you can send us your comments or queries on anything you've seen in this program to information@tha.gov.tt, or you can even visit us at www.tha.gov.tt. Like us on Facebook and subscribe to our YouTube channel. I'm Davia Chambers, and on behalf of all of us at the Department of Information, have a safe and enjoyable week. And as we go, we leave you with some final images of the Kendal Aquatic Center, the first public swimming pool in Tobago East.